Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Right. Thank you. I apologize if there's still some people around the tasting room. And are headed this way. You're not going to miss anything. We're just going to start going. Yes. Oh, yeah, we're doing disco. They won't miss much. We are losing some people because they're already signed up for the cruise. There are cruisers. Okay, I'm going to just get started so that we can move forward with this. I want to first introduce Brittany from Travel Perks here in Eugene. Let's hear it for Brittany. Has done so much in getting people signed up. She's a wealth of information. And one quicker thing before I hand it off to her, I look at the Pearsons back there at the high top are taking a cruise. They're getting it all booked with Travel Perks to Amsterdam. And they're going to do a little checking things out for us. So once they come back in the fall, we'll talk to them and get on the secret. Here's Brittany.
Thank you, Matt. Give it up one more time for Matt. That was so fun. I did not expect to do the tasting, but I'm feeling a little looser now that I did. So excellent. My name is Brittany St. Julian. I'm the group travel coordinator at Travel Perks. And I'm so glad that the Pearsons booked another trip. We are a full-service travel agency, so we're working with Alesong and with AmaWaterways on this particular trip. But we can help you go wherever you want to go. So if you have any dreams, let us help you fulfill those dreams. We'll get you where you want to go, and we'll help do it at the best rate possible. My little spiel about Travel Perks. In the corner, we've got Becca Perwitz, our marketing manager extraordinaire. Say hi, Becca. She helped put all this together too. She helped coordinate linking Alesong to AmaWaterways, actually. So she's one of the really integral reasons why this cruise even got started. So thank you for that. And without further ado, oh, also when you sign up, I'm the person that you talk to at Travel Perks. So if you have any questions or needs, most of you have already signed up. So call me, text me, email me, send me a smoke signal, send a crow with a little piece of paper around his leg, whatever you do, I'm happy to help. So that's it for me. I'm going to pass it on over to Cody. He's with AmaWaterways. He'll tell you why you should be so dang excited about this trip. Give it up for Cody!
Thank you very much. My hand, I broke it very badly recently, so that's why it kind of took me a moment for that. But Brittany, what an introduction. Give it up for Brittany. And I want to say this is today is just informational. It's not, you have to come and cruise with us. It's more for those of you that have never been on a river cruise, for those of you that have never traveled to this region, trust me, all of this was very new to me. Although I worked on cruise ships for 8 years prior to joining AmaWaterways, I loved the big ships, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 passengers. Our ships are a lot smaller. And when they approached me to work with AmaWaterways, I said, I don't think I'm old enough to work for a river cruise line. And I said that to an executive, and she laughed at me. I'm so glad she laughed at me instead of saying, you're not hired anymore. But there's a lot of misconceptions with river cruising, and I want to just walk you through what a typical cruise looks like, and then highlight the experiences on this celebration of beer cruise. Because when Becca and Matt came to me, 8 months ago, a year ago, it's been a while at this point. Yeah, it's almost been a year. This program is brand new. We launched it late last year. We did 2 test cruises. They went over so well that we want to expand this program for 2026, 2027, and beyond. So Matt, thank you so much for participating. We can't wait to have you on board. That tasting was amazing. I want more of that cheese. So whoever's in the back, you can send me home with a little bit of that and your aioli. So let's go into River Cruising 101. The ship that you will be on for Matt's cruise, it's going to be brand new. All of our vessels are nearly identical to each other. So this is what to expect, but your ship is going to be months old by the time it comes out. 152 passengers on your vessel, but on average, we have 156. So same size, same length, same width, but you're just going to have a couple less staterooms because we're going to build a larger dining room and a larger lounge. So this is pretty much what it looks like in most of the ports that you'll be docking in. And you say, well, the ships are docked next to each other because the ports are smaller, typically, excluding Amsterdam. So most of the ships will be docked next to each other. So you may wake up in the morning and be docked next to another ship. So if you're in a balcony stateroom, close your curtains because you may be looking into someone else's room, unless you're into that. But yeah, I would say close your curtains. But it's okay because you'll have that scenic cruising throughout the voyage. But starting in the front of the vessel, you have your dining room, and then you have your panoramic lounge. Lots of space, more space than the guests on board, so everyone will be able to choose the accommodations they want, private sea, maybe couch, etc. You've got the sun deck, swimming pool, which is really nice during sunsets because the sunsets in the Holland and Belgium waterways, it was actually my first cruise. So this itinerary was the very first itinerary that I ever sailed on. And then you've got a jogging track, various upper deck amenities, and then 3 decks of stateroom accommodations. So I'll get to the accommodations in a second, but 80% of them are balconies, and many people opt into the balconies. For me, I'm okay with having the entry-level stateroom. My wife has to have a balcony so she can enjoy her coffee looking out at the sunrise or sunset in the evening. And then on the back of the ship, you have your specialty restaurant. Now, so this shot I took from my drone before the captain yelled at me because drones weren't allowed in the port, but I still got the shot. You've got 5 of our competitor ships docked in front of us, and then you've got 3 of our ships. Those ships have 190 passengers. Your ship is going to have 152 passengers, same size. So more space per person, larger staterooms, and larger dining space. So by show of hands, because I know that entire table said that I smelled a little bit and they were out of here, but actually, yeah, no, they already booked, so we can't wait to have them on board. But by show of hands, just how many people in here have actually been on a river cruise before? Great, so no one can keep me honest, which is awesome. But let's just now walk through what a 7-day river cruise looks like. You can arrive early, which I highly recommend. There's lots to do in Amsterdam. The Delirium Cafe, they actually have one in Amsterdam. It's walking distance from the ship. Of course, the main location is in Brussels, but there is one walking distance from your ship in Amsterdam. You can arrive to the ship whenever you want. Doors open at 10 a.m. Staterooms are available at 3 o'clock. You don't have to register for a walk on the ship time like you do with the big ships. If you arrive before your stateroom's available, the ship's yours. You can hang out in the lounge. We'll have food, drinks, sun deck open, basically the entire ship except for your stateroom. What I like to do in Amsterdam specifically, I will check out of my hotel, typically around 11, drop off my bags, and then I'll walk back into town. You can get to central Amsterdam in around 6 minutes from where the ship is docked. So drop your bags, head into town, relax, enjoy the afternoon, make your way back at 3 o'clock. Once you get back to the ship and your stateroom is available, this is what you're going to expect. You have your twin balcony staterooms. So those are the larger balcony accommodations. And we call them twin balconies because half of the room is a Juliet style balcony. So your sliding doors open your room up to the outdoor, and you've got a handrail just outside of the sliding doors. And then there's a traditional outdoor balcony, so you can close the door behind you. You'll be cruising in November. Weather should be pretty mild at that time of year. It's my favorite time of year to cruise. But if it's a little bit colder, then you can keep that thermostat on and then still enjoy your balcony. And then we've got the suites and then the fixed window staterooms on the bottom of the ship. So there's no open air, but same size accommodations as your entry level balconies. So you've checked into your room. Now it's going to be cocktail reception. Every single day, 1 hour prior to dinner, it's basically an open bar. Mocktails, there we go. Yeah. The open bar is going to have a variety of rotating beers, of wines, mocktails, sodas, various beverages. But that first day is going to be the most important because we want to make sure you've signed up for all of the excursions that we recommend. There's a brochure in the back. I know Brittany or Becca have a flyer, maybe Matt's a flyer of the breakdown that I showed you in the previous slide. I will just toggle back up because this is more informational. So you're going to have each day of the cruise. You'll have the destination on the left, and then you'll have all of the included experiences on the right. You can pre-book all of these excursions before the cruise, but let's say you wake up one morning and you don't want to go on that particular excursion. They're all included, so you just change the excursion. You do it in the app. You can walk up to the cruise manager, who's going to be your guide for the entire voyage. We're very relaxed. It's a chill Pacific Northwest luxury product, I like to say, because I would be comfortable wearing this all day. In the evening, I would switch this to a polo, and I would be comfortable. There's no dress code. The only thing we ask is no shorts or flip-flops in the evening. By the way, I love shorts, so I'm not calling you out on purpose. But that first day, we're going to give you a rundown of all the excursions. There's going to be surprise and delight experiences that we don't tell you about, that you'll just have a pop-up tasting or maybe a pop-up tour of a local brewery, because it is going to be a beer-themed cruise. So there's a lot to fill your schedules with on board, but to give you an idea, and by the way, here's a shot of the lounge on the first day, and you can tell that people can dress to their comfort. We want you to be able to enjoy your cruise with a family atmosphere. But the cruise manager is not only going to give you guidance on the excursions, they are also going to give you tips of what to experience off the ship outside of the excursions, like your free time. And then they're going to be your entertainment director whilst on board. Now, I like to start with this picture on the left-hand side because it's a very staged marketing photo, as you can see. But that woman right there is one of our cruise managers. Her name is Martina. She was my first cruise manager, and she's been my cruise manager 3 times. But she's there again to have you have the best experience ever. But the rest of the crew are fabulous. They're very familial, so it's not stiff. You're going to walk on board. They're going to know you by name. Your stateroom attendant is going to ask you if you want a soft, medium, or firm pillow. They're going to know if you want a top sheet on your bed. They're going to know if you want still or sparkling water in your room. Maybe you're bringing on some beer, or maybe you want to bring a spirit for a late night aperitif after dinner. Well, if you want a mixer for that, they can bring it to your room. There's no limit to what you can bring on board. You want to bring sodas? You want to bring beer? You want to bring spirits? Doesn't matter. They'll make sure that you're accommodated in your room. But they listen at all times. My first story that I heard, because it was actually one of my clients, was that, so this lady right down here, her and her daughter had some miscommunication, and so she booked a cruise with her girlfriends while her daughter was having a gender reveal party back at home. Like, uh-oh. So the daughter called AmaWaterways. AmaWaterways called the ship. They said, the gender reveal party is this Saturday, so whatever date that was. Can you do something special for the mom on board? The maitre d' and the cruise manager, who happened to be Martina, baked a cake with the corresponding cake color. And then the cruise manager FaceTimed the daughter back at home so that the mom could do a live gender reveal on board the ship with the daughter. So they're always listening. It kind of reminds me of a scene from that show, The Bear, on Hulu. They're always listening, and they want to make sure that all of you have very special moments throughout the voyage. So of course, everyone's favorite time, 1 hour prior to dinner, open bar. What's great about your cruise is that there's going to be a wider selection of local beers that we typically have because it is a beer-themed cruise. But if you want a non-alcoholic beverage, no problem. If you want a spirit, mixed drink, etc. Regional wines, we have 33 regional wines, a minimum of 33 regional wines on board all of our ships in Europe. Dining, all inclusive. We have specialty dining. We also have the main dining room. For your particular itinerary, you're going to have a regional menu, and then there's going to be a Western comfort menu. So for example, maybe you want schnitzel for lunch that day, but the other day you don't want regional food and you want a gluten-free pizza, or maybe you want pasta or a wedge salad. We've got plenty of food items, and we source all of our ingredients locally, and then we will literally reload the ship every single day whilst in port. So you saw a bunch of marketing photos, but here's one of my groups at lunchtime. So again, the only thing, no shorts in the dining room in the evening. Outside of that, you know, be comfortable. Of course, us crew dress up a little bit, but everyone else dresses to their own comfort level. And then in the evening, so I believe you've got 56 so far signed up, right? 53, okay. So our tables are modular, but there are 2 dining spaces that I'm sure Matt will be able to host groups throughout the voyage. So maybe each night you host, 6 to 10 people, depending on how large your group is. But we've got tables in the round, and then we also have modular seating. So if you don't want to join the group and you want to be at a private table, like I like to eat breakfast by myself, that's no problem at all. The dining room is quite spacious. And then you'll have the chef's table. This is typically offered one night during the voyage, complimentary. Matt, I have to say, you're probably going to have to host multiple nights with how large your group is. Bummer. But it's a really fun night because the space is a panoramic lounge style, where you get to see the chef and team preparing all of the food, and then you're going to have 6 to 8 courses, all with various regional wines, and again, it's included. If you're like me and you travel with people with allergies, don't worry, we accommodate all food allergies. So even the most severe allergies, all you need to do is tell the maitre d' and they'll accommodate. So then every single night after dinner, we have regional entertainment. We like to bring on locals. On my Belgium and Holland cruise, your itinerary, they brought a local band that was an ABBA tribute band, and it turned into like a disco party until 2 o'clock in the morning. And so that was another misconception. I'm like, oh, river cruising is quite sleepy. But no, every single night there's something going on in the lounge, and we really like to highlight the local culture and bring on musicians and artisans, etc. So now we're on day 2 of the cruise. There's 7 days of the cruise. Every single day of the cruise thereafter is going to be the same. Wellness activities in the morning, complimentary. Stretching classes, resistance band, digestive walks, champagne yoga. I'm being serious. Yeah, the joke on board is like, if you want to start your day with morning wine, well, we offer it. So you're going to have a lot of variety of experiences, and you can stay as active as you want, or you can be as relaxed as you want. My first couple cruises, I wanted to do all the bike rides, all the hikes. I wanted to just do everything to experience the product. But by golly, I was exhausted at the end of the 7 days. So now when I go on board, sometimes I don't do an excursion. Sometimes I like to sleep in late. There's a late riser breakfast. Then there's an early lunch. There's afternoon tea. There's the canopies, appetizers during the cocktail reception. There's dinner, and then there's a late night buffet at 10 o'clock. So you're not going to go hungry on board. Lots of different various food options for you. But then the wellness activities also exist off the ship. So you can do a bike ride, you can do an active paced walking tour, you can do a hike. And actually, two of my favorite bike rides. So for anyone here that likes to ride bikes, Brussels has to be the coolest bike ride that I've done. And Antwerp is really interesting as well, because what people don't realize, or some people don't realize about Antwerp, it was a major shipping port. So they built under city canals. And so at one point you can actually ride the bikes into the underwater canals. You're on the walking path, but then you come out at an opposite side of the city, and then there's this massive medieval cathedral. So really interesting bike ride tours on this particular itinerary. Just don't have your morning beers or wines before that bike tour. So this is what it looks like when you go to sign into your cruise. Typically 20 to 40 days out, you're going to be given the option to book all of your excursions. Again, let's say you don't fill out this form prior to your cruise. Well, good news is you can still go on any one of those tours that you want to. We're very flexible, and we hire more guides if needed. We hire more transportation. This itinerary is very easy. The Belgium and Holland waterways, I'll show you a map in a second. It's very easy to get extra transportation. I was on a ship the first time I got in trouble. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, sláinte, everyone. Cheers. Thanks for being here. Yeah. So I was on a cruise. We're in Budapest. I convinced everyone to go on an excursion. Only 10 people signed up for it. Then 120 people signed up for it. And the cruise manager came to me and said, you know, we need to now charter buses to get to the Academy of Performing Arts and then to get to the Opera House. I'm like, sorry, it's just a really special excursion. They solved it in 2 hours. It was done. So again, we're very flexible with our excursions. You can see the level of difficulty, the overview, all that information will be provided pre-cruise. So now you've had breakfast, you've done your champagne yoga, you're ready to get on your excursion. So here I'm stood outside of my stateroom on deck 2. And by the way, this is very close to what your ship is going to look like, or any AMA ship that you go on. Staircases are sometimes a little different. But you can see the elevator going between the passenger decks, so 1 and 3. Dining room is down there. And then you're going to make your long commute up to the front desk. You'll have various crew members assisting because there's going to be up to 6 tours happening at the same time. You grab your ticket, and then you make your way off the ship. There's complimentary water, walking sticks, umbrellas, weather permitting, and you're off the ship. You really get to maximize the amount of time that you spend in port. And this is one of my walking groups in Antwerp, one of my favorite spots that you'll be visiting on your cruise. And there were 4 of us. So the guide was like, you guys want to go see our local cheese market? I'm like, heck yeah, fitting for this event. So we went to the market, and then I bought a bunch of cheese, and then just sat like a sloth underneath, bought a bunch of cheese, and then slothed my way through it while people watching. Here we are in Brussels, another port, where, of course, I made chocolate and ate a bunch of chocolate. And this is one of my favorite biking tours in Brussels, where you get to explore the city, you get to see the old parts and the new parts. There's an old railroad station that they turned it into living space with shopping on the bottom, but really kept the unique nature and history of the building. Here we are in Vienna. Oh, another shot from Utrecht, which is a port just outside of Amsterdam. Largest privately owned castle in the Netherlands, where we actually got to ride the bikes from the ship to the castle, tour the castle, and then ride back. If you didn't want to ride bikes, no problem. We had transportation getting you to the castle. And then pop-up experiences, we like to under-promise, over-deliver. So maybe you commandeer a local brewery one night, and you get to go talk to the brewmasters, try the local beers. There's going to be lots of beer tastings on board. Here we are in Bratislava, where that was the first of 4 beers that they served us. And so 4 8.5 plus beers. Everyone got back to the ship in very good spirits that day. And then the hikes as well. So I have to say there aren't too many hikes on this particular itinerary, but really you want to focus on the tastings as well as the specialty events like the chocolate making workshops and the museums. And then here we are on top of the fortress in Dürnstein, just overlooking the vineyards, the village down the hill. So lots to experience. I have to say, probably my favorite thing about river cruising is I don't have to do a lot of pre-planning. I book my cruise and everything's going to be done for me. If I need to make changes to any of my tours, it's done for me. If I want to walk off in the port and just explore, I'm there, especially your itinerary. So here's Europe, and you're going to be up here for Matt's group. But they're all pretty much 7-day cruises. So maybe if this date doesn't happen to work out, we're year round. But like you can do Switzerland to the Netherlands. You could do itineraries in France, down in Portugal, over in the northern Danube between Hungary and Germany, and then the southern Danube. And then we also have the exotics. I just got really loud. Sorry about that. But let's focus on Matt's group. Because it's going to be a party and I'm still trying to convince my boss to let me go with y'all. I think there's a chance. I've got a few months left of convincing him. This is the region pretty much that you'll be in, but you're going to be just up on the Holland and Belgium waterways. And when I say there are some of the best sunsets I've ever seen on the rivers, it's very flat. It's not hilly, so you can see very far in the distance, and the canals are a lot wider than a typical like Rhine River or Danube. And so it's going to be very familiar to those of you that have been on an ocean cruise that have had sea days. We don't have sea days because there's not a lot of traveling between the locations. So now as we zoom in, you're not going very far between each port. So you will be doing a lot of daytime cruising, but for those beautiful sunsets, specifically down in the Antwerp, Brussels, and Ghent area, it's just you have that orange pink hue on the horizon. And just imagine having some delicious local beers sitting up on the sun deck, looking out at that sunset. So 7 nights. And your cruise will begin and end in Amsterdam. Another reason why I really love this particular itinerary, sorry, my finger still doesn't work, is that, so like the majority of river cruising is directional. So you start in one port and end in another. With your itinerary, you start in Amsterdam and you end in Amsterdam. And it's a very convenient airport, probably one of my favorite airports in the world. And the ship is not far from the airport. The hotels in downtown, you've got a wide variety of them. I just stayed at a Hilton for $110. That was 6 minutes walking from the ship. So there's lots of great accommodations. You're going to be there at the early season of Christmas time. So the canals are going to be filled with canal boats that all decorate their boats with Christmas lights. And in the evening, they do Christmas sailing parades. It's pretty darn awesome. It's a great time of year. Just avoid the bike paths because they will hit you. The bike riders, they have no shame. They're coming after you. So this picture right here is taken 1 block away from where the ship is docked. So in the matter of minutes, you're right there smack dab in downtown Amsterdam. You can add the extra nights with us. You can do it on your own. But I highly recommend any of you that have not been to Amsterdam, please spend at least 2 full days in Amsterdam prior to going. And of course, the Travel Perks team can help you book those museum passes, because you do need to pre-book those museum passes, especially those like, the Anne Frank Museum. Just be prepared for that, because it is getting into a busier time of the year with the Christmas markets. But here's a nice aerial shot of Utrecht, which is just outside of the Amsterdam, that large castle that I explained. And actually, this is going to be one of your highlighted beer tasting days. So I can't remember the exact name. Maybe I have it written down. Matt's more the expert. Oh, it's on my phone. But so Duvel, if any of you have tried Duvel before. So umbrella company, and one of the largest producers of beer in the region, is actually just outside of this castle. And they really pride themselves on being the largest beer consumers. There's a huge battle between them and the Czech, but there are a ton of tasting opportunities throughout this region, and probably home to one of my favorite triples outside of Antwerp. Antwerp, hands down, my favorite beer tasting city on this tour. Then another day, you're going to be docked in a city called Ghent. Extravagant architecture. Hard part about that day is you're going to have to decide if you want to stay in Ghent or you want to go to Bruges. I always opt into Bruges, and any of you that choose to go to Bruges on this day, you have to go to the World of Beer Museum. It's fairly new. It's in the town center or city center, and so I'm getting goosebumps now because it's like one of the coolest museums I've been to. So you walk through the brewing process, regional brewing process, and then you walk through other countries, their brewing process. You get to smell various hops, German hops, American hops. And then once you end the tour, you're up on the third floor of this building, looking into the city center, like literally primo viewing location. And you get 3 tokens to try any of the beers that you want. And they've got like 20 something on tap. And people, a lot of the time, will actually just leave tokens on the table. And so the bartenders will just say, here's our little cup of extra tokens. So again, you can leave Bruges in a very good mood that day. And oh yeah, just some of the deliciousness that you'll be able to experience throughout the voyage. Now, one tour that we added specific to the beer celebration of beer cruise is that there's a brewery called the Windmill Brewery just outside of Amsterdam. I believe it still is the largest standing windmill, and it might be in the top 5 oldest windmills. It's pretty darn large. It's much larger than what you see here, but you'll have two moments that you can experience the windmills, Kinderdijk, Brunies / Amsterdam. But the Windmill Brewery, it's a pretty unique experience because you get to go into this old windmill that they've repurposed as a brewery. And so you get to do various tastings and then learn the history of the windmills throughout the region. So you don't have to just drink all the time. You can actually learn something. Totally up to you, though. And then Brussels, that's where you can do the chocolate making workshop, my favorite biking tour. You're stone's throw away from the original Delirium Cafe. You're probably a 20-minute walk or a quick taxi ride, but again, centrally located. And then here I am in Brussels. I got to meet one of my friends I worked with on cruise ships. We went to the Delirium Cafe and then just went and basically putzed around to various cafes afterward. And let's say that you end up having a lot of fun in one of the ports and the ship leaves without you. It happens sometimes. You don't really have to worry about getting to the ship because you could probably Uber for about 50 euro to the next port. Again, very close proximity. So keep that in mind that if you guys party a little bit too hard with Matt one afternoon, we'll make sure that we can get you back to the ship. And of course, Antwerp. Now, this is my favorite beer tasting port on this itinerary. I loved it. We went on a local guided beer walking tour. And the guide ended up saying at the very end of the tour, 4 pubs later, 8 or 9% or above, they said, who wants to hang around with me because I have to attend a family barbecue in a couple hours and I'm not going home, so I'm just staying in town. We're like, okay, we can go have another beer with you. He took us to one of his friends' family's pubs, and we just literally sampled beer for the next 2.5 hours. I get a call from the cruise manager because I'm hosting this group, and she is like, where the hell are you? And I'm like, we're in this family-owned pub. Like, we're just hanging out with our cruise manager. It's super cool. But that's going to happen. You're going to make a connection with the cruise manager. You're going to make a connection with the tour guides, and then they're going to recommend great shops to go to or restaurants or just walking past. Again, it's very relaxed. And I include this photo because this is our 76-pound Husky German Shepherd mix / Border Collie. We did the DNA test on her. I don't know if I trust it, but she's a beast. And she's the one that ripped out my finger 2.5 months ago. It was my fault. It wasn't hers. She got really excited and then leash pull. So this is her just saying, I'm sorry, Dad, and I hope you have a really good presentation. With that, I want to end with kind of like logistics. So what does it look like for any river cruise with AmaWaterways, but primarily Matt's? It's a $400 per person deposit. You contact Travel Perks. You choose your stateroom. Bottom floor, second floor, third floor. There's no perfect side of the ship. Left, right, doesn't really matter on this itinerary. It's either if you want to be in the more towards the middle of the ship or towards the back of the ship if you want a normal size room, if you want a suite size room. So $400 per person, that's all we ask for. Then 90 days prior, it's final payment. You can make payments, you can hold on to your money, totally up to you. The ship's small, not small as like square footage per person, but small as in there's 152 total people on board. I didn't run the inventory report. I'm sorry, Travel Perks, but you're already at 50 something. So we're likely going to hit half the ship occupancy in the matter of no time. So there's that. What to expect as far as expenses on board. Gratuities are €230 per person. That covers everyone. Onboard crew and guides off the ship and drivers off the ship. Outside of that, it's if you want a massage, go to the spa, going to cost you money. If you want to buy overpriced Ama swag, you can go and do that. I'm being recorded. So, I mean, appropriately priced Ama swag. I'm sorry about that. Yay. But we also have like local gifts. It's not like a commercial shopping area. We like to support the local communities. And then that's about it. If you want to have, a drink after dinner, then it's going to be around €3.90 for a beer, around $5.50 for wine, around $6.50 to $7.50 for a mixed drink. But if you want to bring something on board, bring it on board. Or you just hijack Mac's suitcase, because I'm sure he's going to be bringing on his own, quantity or private selection, we'll say. And that's it. The good news is that Travel Perks is going to be offering onboard credit, which you can use towards your gratuities, you can use towards the spa, you can use towards the gift shop, whatever you want. So thank you for that offer. And that's new bookings, and then also all the people that have previously booked, they're getting that as well. But now I want to turn it over to all of you if you've got any questions. And this could be about this itinerary. This could be about itineraries in general. We got one. We got one from the rowdy guy in the back. It's like you took the information right out of my mouth. Thank you for that prompt. So the question was, we've got 25 bicycles on board all of our vessels. Let's say that 50 people sign up for the biking tour. On this particular itinerary, many people sign up for the biking tour in Kinderdijk because it's a very relaxed bike ride through the UNESCO World Heritage Site with all of the old windmills. So you can go see the living spaces, you could visit multiple windmills. There's a village that you ride through and the dogs are just running free and they're super kind. And I freaked out a little bit because I've been bit before, but I have dogs. And I'm like, the dog's following me. They're like, he just wants a scratch. All the neighborhood just lets their dogs run wild and it's pretty awesome. And then we stopped and had a picnic after the bike ride before we got back on the ship. So 25 on board. You can take those whenever you want. Or if you want to go on a guided bike tour, you sign up. There's a local guide and plus the wellness host, like the fitness instructor that's on board. They come with the group in case there needs to be any repairs for the bikes. But if more people sign up for a particular tour and we know this 24 hours in advance, we can charter bikes because we have 3 storage locations along this itinerary. So Kinderdijk, we have an extra 50 bikes that we have available. Brussels, we have an extra, well, endless amount in Brussels. Besides Kinderdijk, I've never run into an itinerary where we needed to charter extra bikes because usually people do the bike ride early on. So those early bike tours are very busy. And then people want to have their morning beer and just relax afterward. But I like the bike rides, so I'm on most of them. But Kinderdijk is definitely one that we already have a backup plan that we can charter additional bikes. So great question that you presented with already the answer. Yeah. It's kind of like you heard this from me before, or you just did your researching. All right. Did I break everyone's brain? Or just provided enough information that you're good? All right, so Matt, Alesong, thank you so much. Cheese was amazing, beer was amazing, as always, and company, as always, was amazing. Thank you all for joining. And I'll turn it over to the fabulous Brittany. Here you go.
Give it up, one. Well, that's it, guys. If nobody has any questions, then I think you're free to just keep enjoying this fantastic day. Thank you again, Matt, for hosting us. We love Alesong. We love all the cheeses, all the beers, and I hope to see you all. Well, I might not be on this trip, but I'm going to try to be on this trip. So I hope to see you all in Amsterdam and all the other places on this fantastic itinerary. If you have any questions, I would grab a flyer. The phone number there goes to me. So let me know if you have any questions. I would love to help answer them and get you one step closer to your fantastic vacation. Thank you all for being here. If you have any questions today, maybe check with Matt. But thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the cruise. Bye. Bon voyage.
Nice. You do have a hosting voice.